Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. So you've heard about the problems with the new Windows update that happened not too long ago. And of course we've had some more Windows Defender definition updates, that sort of jazz, right? I've watched a number of these videos. I haven't watched them all, but I've watched a number of them. And none of them actually seem to report what I just went through, which was a living hell. I'm like many of you. I like to run Crystal Disk Info, Crystal Disk Mark. These are fantastic programs for checking health statistics of your drive, finding out how much data has been written to them, because we know we all need to be paranoid in the pants on SSD drives for data written, right? But anyways, Crystal Disk Mark, great little program for speed testing with. It's fantastic. I really like it. I downloaded mine though from an alternate website. I did not go to the Microsoft Store because it's really not my favorite place. But I have downloaded the other one, the health statistic one, from the Microsoft Store. And of course, I didn't have any problems. And you know what? Even after that initial latest update from Windows, I didn't have any problems. At least nothing that was reported. And I don't run this program every day either. So it's kind of like, well, not seeing any problems here. My computers are working fine. And I have the same programs on both computers, right? But I also have them both set up for video editing, which I'm using a really freaking old version of Windows Movie Maker, because the one that they give you with Windows 11 is cloud-based, and it's like, I'm not putting my crap on the cloud. I don't even have the cloud in any of these computers because I ripped it out. It's nothing but a pain in the butt. I mean, I get that they want to kind of do the same sort of idea as Apple with, multiple systems for that part with the cloud. And it's kind of a really good idea with Apple, but not so much with PC world, especially when you got a high-end gaming system and a lower-end spec system. And I don't want the same crap on both. So the cloud automatically jams both in there, and it's like, I don't want that on this system. Like, Anyways, so I ripped the cloud out. I don't like it. But one of the things I noticed was, because I had a couple of issues recently, I thought, I'm going to speed test these drives. Now, I didn't have issues with the computers. It's just with some external drives and testing them out, kind of figuring, okay, well, what's the difference between this and what's going on here? And the program wouldn't even test the drives, none of them, which they've tested these drives before. So it's kind of like, well, let's try these again, right? Nope, didn't want to do it. It just hung there, doing nothing. So anyways, we're going to run this again. I just got a set of, I noticed some optional updates. One of them was actually for my SSD. But what had happened here with running this program, it stayed there and it hung. It did nothing. And I'm like, okay. So hitting the stop button didn't work either. It didn't say not responding across the top bar, but it also didn't say that either when I went into Task Manager. But I force quit it anyways because I had to get it to quit. I then decided to scan the system. Just on a quickie scan, I got some Trojans. What? Okay, now here's the deal. I'm paranoid when it comes to Windows computers. I love them, but I hate them at the same time. The biggest part is you can get hacked really easy, you can get virused really easy on a Windows computer. That's something that's always been there throughout history, okay? Apple computers do not get hacked, and they do not get virused very easily, okay? So this is something that's very difficult to do to a Mac. It's not that it can't be done or it doesn't happen. It's just that the rarity is so rare, it's crazy, okay? But with the PC, of course, we know that over years and years and years of PCs, they're extremely vulnerable, and any kind of security that's out there is a freaking joke, okay? However, we do have programs that can help us deal with a lot of things. And not every virus program can find all viruses or all malware, etc. And using multiples of these programs to try and catch everything isn't going to help you any. It's just going to bog your system down, screw it up more. These programs will fight against each other. They'll create viruses. Okay, so you need to pick one and stick with it. I choose Windows Defender. It works. My computers, both my PCs also came with McAfee on them and prepaid subscriptions, of course, because it's part of buying the computer. You get like X amount of years for free as part of your purchase. I just ripped them off. I don't even use them. I don't like McAfee. It slows down my computer too much as it is. It causes other grief in some programs. And it's like, I don't want, I'm not dealing with this. Defender at least leaves me alone, right? And I like Defender. It does work, okay? It doesn't catch everything out there. No program can. But you want to pick one and stick with it. Otherwise, you're just asking for more and more trouble. So anyways, so I'm trying to run this program. It doesn't want to run anymore. Just all of a sudden out of the blue. The only thing I've done was a Windows update, okay, and a definition update, which everybody has that new Windows update. Now, again, I did not hear about the problem with this program with any of the videos that I have watched, okay? Now, I haven't watched them all either, so maybe somebody did point this out, but I'm pointing it out at least on my channel. Don't download this program, Crystal Disk Mark, from anywhere else other than the Microsoft Store. The Microsoft Store, although, like I said, I still don't trust Microsoft, but at least it seems to be clean, okay? I don't seem to have any issues. It is functioning again, but it took me hours and hours to remove and get rid of all the Trojans, which were all linked to this program. And I'm like, okay. And even the info I did get saying where the problem Trojan was living, I'm like, okay, so where's the file? It's a temp file, right? I can't find it anywhere in the computer, so I don't know how it's coming up with it, but somehow it's coming up. I even tried, showing hidden files to no avail. None of that worked. But so I keep scanning, keep deleting. Turned out I had to quarantine the majority of them before I could remove. So I had to quarantine, rescan, go back in, then I could remove, right? So even though it's quarantined, it still came back up. But I had to quarantine first before removal, because trying to straight removal first didn't work. And I'd even uninstalled the program, okay? And with Diskmark, you actually have to go in here to your start menu, go to all apps, find it in the list, right-click it, and manually uninstall, okay? And also get the shortcut off your taskbar if you have it there as well. I like to have some shortcuts down here for programs I use most often, okay? Crystal Disk Info has no issues and did not give any issues either, okay? That was another thing. So, and that one did come from the Microsoft Store. So I'm thinking that Crystal Disk Info, even though it came from another website, it had been working fine up until this update, right? And the new Defender updates, right? So I'm thinking, well, there's got to be a link there somewhere. And yet, we had about 18 Trojans in total to deal with on both systems. Because both systems, other than I have, the harder core games on the gamer system and not on this one, they're both set up identically, okay, otherwise. So it's kind of like, this kind of threw me a little bit. So anyways, we got a score here of 3444.16 and 2226.91. Now this particular drive I have in here, I will tell you exactly what it is. Come on. It is an XPG Gamex S11 Pro 512.1 gig. Okay, now it's 96% good condition because I spent a lot of life in my gamer PC tower that you guys have seen on my channel. There's 12,573 hours of power on usage. Power on counts is 1661. We have total host rights of 15,900 gig and 20,186 gig of reads. Okay, now this program never came up on the list, but this sucker did. Okay, and this sucker would not function, and I couldn't get rid of the viruses, right, or the Trojans they called them. So I uninstalled it finally, got that done. I still had a lot of cleanup to do, and it finally got everything out. Now both systems are 100% clean, even doing a deep scan, which is another thing that I would recommend. If you are using Windows Defender that's built in like I am and all that jazz, virus and threat protection, quick scan is a great option. It does catch a lot of stuff, but it didn't catch everything. Scan options, full scan, run a full scan as well, and delete everything. You're going to have to quarantine first, obviously. then you can delete on the next scan around. It's just a real nightmare. Defender Antivirus Offline Scan. That is the one you want to also use. And that was the last draw. And that finally helped me get rid of everything else. Now, it doesn't necessarily going to delete them all, but it's going to delete some of them for you. It's going to leave some left behind. So rescan the system again, even after running this, which it took me several runs to do it. I finally got rid of everything, so the system is now clean. I then reinstalled the Crystal Disk Info because I wanted to put that back in. I'm guinea pigging. And I put Crystal Disk Mark back in, but this time I got it from the Microsoft App Store, and instead of going third party again. Because I figured, well, I don't even remember what website I went to begin with, because there's like 15 or 20 websites with this program. I'm going to recommend don't, okay? Now, I didn't notice slowdowns in my computer. I didn't notice slowdowns in anything, or any of the other problems that were listed from that update that it's wreaking havoc on a vast majority of computers, because not everybody's having the problem. What tipped me off was actually running this program and it not responding. It wasn't scanning. It's just hanging there endlessly doing absolutely nothing. And I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. So is it because it's from an alternate website and it had Trojans that weren't found before? Because like I said, we did get some Defender, definition updates after that update as well. Or was it the update? Because this is the funny part. I have a program called Adobe Edition 1.5. Now, this is an old audio software program. I used it on the PC. I've used it on the Mac for years. Well, ever since Windows, I think it was Windows 8 or Windows 10, the computer would always come up and say that it's virused. It would even delete my friggin' code generator, right? And I'm like, this is not cool. Good thing I had that all backed up on a CD. But anyways, it was really hard to get around it, to get it to go back into the computer, because I really liked that program. It worked for what I needed it for. And but it was always clean. It was never a problem until I think about Windows 8 or Windows 10 is when it started saying that the program was a virus, had a virus in it. And I'm like, there's no virus in this thing. But then again, not everything is caught all the time. But of course, I also know where I got it from, so I knew it was clean anyhow. So I'm not worried about it. But Windows gets to be in this little bit of a mood, right? Where every time we get updates to our Windows OS, not necessarily are we going to lose access to programs like we seem to on the Mac, of course. But we do get some things that were clean before that all of a sudden are not clean, but they are still actually clean. So it's kind of one of those things. It's a weird one. But Windows is trying to get better in security. They really are trying, at least. I mean, the most secure systems on the planet for not likely being hacked very easily. Well, of course, let me see if I can rephrase that. The chances of you getting hacked on a Mac are about 1 in 700 million. The same as being virused, okay? Your chances of being hacked or virused on a PC are like 1 in 3, okay? It is really crazy that, you go through more torture on a PC than you do on a Mac. Apple cares about security for its customers. Apple cares about keeping you safe and secure, your data, your information all safe and secure. Okay, so there's a huge difference here, right, between the two companies. But you also got to look at, too, that Windows is actually put out by Microsoft. Windows is not made by HP, Compaq, Lenovo, or anybody. It's made by Microsoft, right? And Microsoft's a software development company first and foremost, other than the Xbox and a couple of Surface laptops they make. But otherwise, they're really not much of a hardware guru. They make keyboards and mice, but as far as major computer production goes, no. Microsoft is more software. So every PC on the planet that is PC runs the Windows operating system, generally when you buy it new, right? Okay? Now you have options like Linux or running Unix or Ubuntu or other alternate operating systems on PCs. You can do the same thing on Mac. But either way, I'm pretty sure what's happened here is because I got this program from an alternate website, that may be where the new Windows update may be partially to blame, but or it could be the definitions are up to date now that they're saying, okay, well, this is from a third-party website and it's full of Trojans. Maybe it's Microsoft doing it to us, right? Because Microsoft is trying to get more and more people forced into submission of the Microsoft Store, right? So, because they say their stuff is perfectly clean and legit and this and that and every excuse under the sun. They're trying to force you into their system, right? Now, of course, Apple does kind of say, you really should be getting your stuff from us, but they do give us the option to bypass that and just, we want to install it from another website. So screw you, Apple. They give us the option. It's not a big deal. We can do the same thing here with Windows, but I'm thinking what Microsoft is probably doing is sliding some sort of a thing in that may even be saying, oh, well, this is a virus. This is like got 18 Trojans in it all of a sudden that it didn't have before the last update, right? Because it was working perfectly fine before that last update. And it did seem to work for the first little bit after the update. And then I got some definition updates. And now all of a sudden, between all that, all hell's broken loose. Well, now the systems are clean. And now I have complied like the little slave I am to Microsoft. And I've gotten both programs because before I did get info from them. But Diskmark I've now downloaded from them. I've rescanned this system like 40 freaking times. Feels like it anyways. Not quite that many. But I've done quick scans. I've done in-depth scan. I've done the offline scan. I've run the program several times now. I just got another set of optional updates, one of which was for my drive that I have in here because it's not the drive that came with the computer. It's a much faster and better drive. And everything seems to be working peachy cream now, okay? And now if I go in and just even on a quick scan, if there's a problem, it's going to find it even on the quick scan because that's where I initially found the problems. And but it took going right in depth and doing a lot of quarantine removal, straight removal because even quarantine didn't work for some of these. But I had like 18 of them to deal with. And they were every single one of these Trojans was linked directly to Crystal Diskmark, okay, the speed testing program here. It's all related just to that. That's the only problems. And now it's running clean. Everything's peachy cream. Microsoft is all happy as can be because I downloaded it from their slave site. Okay, so yeah, you may get into this sort of an issue too, right? Now. As far, no threats found, so we're all good. It's all clean. Good. I'm happy. I like the info program too. This is a really good program. Okay, that's interesting. That's a new one. Let's see if it does that again. Oh, come on. Not twice in a row? What's wrong with you? Okay, so anyways, it tells us our info, and I really like the statistics it gives here. It keeps an eye even on the temperature of your drive, and the more drives you have attached, of course, it's going to scan them. So, we can just go ahead and take this little Type-C NVMe drive here, and we'll plug that in. And, of course, there it is. Then we'll go to Crystal Disk Info here. Now, keep in mind, when you download Crystal Disk Info, it has a program for 32-bit OS and a program for 64-bit. I shortcut it to the taskbar. Make sure you choose the 64-bit if you're running 64-bit Windows, which 11 I'm pretty sure is strictly only 64-bit anyway. So now you got another drive in here. It shows up number D. So D drive, we can see we got 454 hours on this one. We've only got 3.357 gigabyte reads and 4.178 gigabyte or 4,178 gigabyte written. Okay, 100% health is good. Temperature is 28 degrees. Yeah, it tells us some info, of course, on our drive, etc. So hey, that's fantastic, and we're good to rock and roll. Okay, so that's great. everything seems to be working. Now, in a couple of days, I'm going to give this a couple of days. I'm going to run this program off and on over the next few days, and I'm going to keep scanning the system. And if everything stays clean, then I'm going to say that it's the Microsoft slavery thing, and you're going to have to go through hell, get rid of those Trojans, because they're not going to go away just by uninstalling the software. I did the whole uninstall it. I even uninstalled that update from Microsoft, which is the problem update. They tell you just uninstall it. Microsoft will fix it eventually, and then you'll just get a whole new one. Well, not only did I even uninstall that thing, I also reinstalled it as well. And, you know, and everything's staying clean now. So I'm thinking Microsoft's trying to play a bully game here. It's hard to say, but it's certainly starting to look that way. But on the other side of the fence, it could be that there was a Trojan, well, 18 of them in this case, in that actual program that came from another site that I downloaded from. But I can't confirm that. I have no way to confirm that. I'm just going by what I found and discovered and what I've done differently this time since cleaning the systems out, both of them, because both my PCs were affected in the exact same way. So I had to do this painstakingly pain in the butt thing to both of my Windows computers, but at least now they're like, oh, I am not putting the programs back onto the other one until I know that this one is clean. Okay, this is like, I want to make sure that this stays clean because I don't care about this computer. It could just self-destruct. I could care less, okay? But my gaming machine is precious to me, and I spent a lot of money on that, so I do not need things going wacko on it. But these computers, by the way, guys, also generally are never on the internet unless it's for the sole purpose of checking on update definitions for Defender, as well as Windows updates or updates from the manufacturer for the computers. Otherwise, they're not on the internet. Okay, I don't use them for that. Other than this one does go on the internet if I'm on my lazy boy and I want to surf the net and keep an eye on my YouTube comments when I'm watching TV. I do use this for that purpose because that's what I bought it for. Because it can run for 8-9 hours easy. Where that gaming system, I get an hour and a half on the battery because it's a power sucking monster. Okay, it just goes, you know, to the battery. I think I need a better, more powerful battery in that thing. And even that wouldn't really help much. It is a gamer system, so it's going to just go to the battery, where this thing is like, it just kind of sips power. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I got for you guys. So check out your own systems, especially if you are running Disk Info and Disk Mark. Disk Info should not be a problem at all. I had no issues with Disk Info on any of those Trojans. It was all linked to Disk Mark having those like massive piles of Trojans, which were a freaking nightmare to get rid of. Okay, but I did finally get rid of them all, and everything's back to square one. So, anyways, I think that pretty much covers it. Other than like I think I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. Pick and choose your battles. Okay, Defender works fine. There's no problems with it. I use it in both computers. I've never had issues. If you don't want to run Defender, uninstall it before installing any other kind of antivirus or anti-malware programs, because otherwise they will fight together. They will create havoc on your system. They will slow you down. They will cause all kinds of problems, okay? So you need to actually make sure that whatever you pick for your antivirus, even if it's McAfee, I don't care what it is, AVG, make sure you uninstall the Windows Defender from the system. Because even if you uninstall that and you run AVG and McAfee, for example, because not every program catches everything, they will still collide with each other and cause problems. Norton is the worst of them all, okay? But either way, they will create viruses because that's what they're designed to do when companies are competing against each other and they have a collision because they find, oh, you're using that? Oh, that's not acceptable to us. You purchased us. And we're going to go and the other program is doing the exact same friggin' thing. Right? So that's something that's been going on for decades and it has not stopped and it likely is never going to stop. This is why you kind of pick one. So if you want to save a lot of hassles and headaches in life, pick something, use it, and yeah, it's not going to catch everything. None of them will. And you can have 500 of them in there and they're still not going to catch every little cold out there. But It's the way it goes. You decide how you want to run your computer and your heartache and headaches and frustration. I'm sticking with one. I'm okay with the Windows Defender one. It's not had any problems for me in years, so I'm going to keep using it. I have tried others, and yeah, they were such resource hogs and other problems. At least Defender is not going to screw you over that way. Okay, it's just been my experiences, and hey, sometimes it's a good experience, and I'm fine with it at first. But when I start finding out problems that are occurring and where they're coming from, that's when I tend to say stop doing this, because this is something that I was actually wrong about, and this is what I found out. But sometimes it takes a long time to find stuff out too. So anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Okay, see ya.